Hey everyone! Imagine a world where believers unite to challenge the status quo. Picture cities transformed into reflections of heaven's civilization right here on Earth. Sounds incredible, right? Welcome to the City Building Initiative. This isn't just another project. It's a movement. A movement where apostolic communities rise as hubs of transformation, driving positive change in every sector. Think about it. Schools where every child feels valued, neighborhoods where people genuinely care for one another, and workplaces that foster creativity and respect. All of this is possible when we join forces. The City Building Initiative is more than a mission. It's a vision of justice, harmony, and hope. By coming together, we can build a future where these values are not just ideals, but realities. We're talking about tangible change here, real impact on real lives. Whether it's through community outreach, educational programs, or innovative business practices, each of us has a role to play. Imagine walking through a city that embodies the principles we hold dear, a city where the love and teachings of heaven are evident in every corner. That's the goal. But we can't do this alone. It takes a collective effort, a united front. Every believer, every community, joining hands to make this vision a reality. So, how can you get involved? It starts with a commitment to our shared values. Get connected with your local apostolic community. Volunteer your time, share your skills, or support the initiative financially. Every bit helps. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to the larger picture. Together, we can create cities that shine as beacons of justice and hope. The City Building Initiative is about more than just transforming cities. It's about transforming lives. It's about making a lasting impact that resonates for generations to come. So, let's rise to the challenge. Together, let's build a future that reflects the civilization of heaven on earth. Join us in the City Building Initiative. Transforming cities. Transforming lives. Thanks for listening, and I can't wait to see the incredible things we'll accomplish together.
Hi there. Welcome again to the City Building Initiative and to the CBI Bulletin. This is your host, Otis Pinnock. Fixing my glasses yet again. It's your host, Otis Pinnock. Welcome again to City Building Bulletin, episode 4. So excited to be here and to share with you some of the truths that we have in store for you today. We've got a lot to get through today, so I'm really, really excited. And also, we're also going to be introducing the prophetic. We will be initializing prayer watches, and that's as a result of some of the prophetic downloads that we've received quite recently. But let's get down to the City Building Initiative and CBI Bulletin episode 4. Now, we're going to start with the premise. The premise is simply this. Okay? It's simply this, that the essence of Jesus's ministry, the essence of what he wanted to do here on the earth, was to produce heaven on earth. Heaven on earth. It's important for you to understand, important for us all to understand that we get a context in terms of Jesus's mission and what he intended to do in the earth. Heaven on earth. And this is the reason why we have the City Building Initiative, because we believe that Jesus's ministry and his mission was to release heaven on earth. Okay, so we are about to get into this, and we are going to share with you some of the truths that we have put aside for you. Hold on 1 second. Just bear with me. Right. Okay. Right, it's not here. Okay. We're having a few technical issues here today. Just bear with us. Okay. 1 second, guys. Just bear with me. A few technical issues today. I thought this was all set up. It hasn't been. Right. Okay. Just bear with me, guys. Just bear with me. We are having a few technical issues right now. Wow. Okay. I think we're almost there, guys. Just bear with me. Fantastic. We're almost there. Wow. Technical issues whilst you're live. Boy, I tell you. Never mind. Okay. So we're going to get into CBI Bulletin number 4. Looking forward to continue the thought in terms of what civilizational warfare is literally all about. Let's just get into this. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Yes. Here we go. Fantastic. We are there. Brilliant. Okay. Finally, we got there. Thank God. Whew. Doing stuff live. Never mind. Let's get into it. City Build Initiative, CBI Bulletin number 4. So we've been looking at civilizational warfare. That is the name of the series that we've been conducting over the last 3 to 4 weeks. And we've had a look at what civilization actually is, or its characteristics, the characteristics of a civilization. And those are cities, organized central government, religion, philosophy, values, legal systems, job trade specializations, social classes, writing systems, education, art and architecture, and public works. So these are the characteristics that normally describe a civilization. Okay, right. Now, so every government, nation, civilization, business, community, society is built on values. We're looking a little bit deeper into this warfare, civilizational warfare. What type of warfare is it? We understand typical military warfare. We understand all these different types, economic warfare, business warfare, all different types of. But what you've got to understand now, spiritual warfare. We've got to look into civilizational warfare that we are all involved in. People call it culture wars. They call it all kind of ideological warfare. But truth of the matter is, what we're facing is ideological in nature and is built on the values of a group or a society. And this is what we're going to look into. So the definition of the word values is the moral principles and beliefs or accepted standards of a person or social group. It is the principles that help you to decide what is right and wrong and how to act in various situations. So to describe this warfare to a degree as a cultural warfare, that is so true. Because culture, when you're talking about culture, you're talking about the norms in a society. You're talking about the acceptable norms within a society and a civilization. And culture actually is built on values. And these values help you decide what is right and what is wrong. So let's just explore this a little bit deeper. Thoughts, imagineers, excuse me, thoughts, imaginations, ideas, and knowledge and values exist in the mind and the heart. They really do. That's where they exist. Successful civilizations are able to extrapolate these ideas and put them down and write them down and form legal structures or economic structures as a result, and actually build civilizations as a result of it. But in essence, it begins in the mind. Important for us to understand that the seat of government in every human being is the mind. So even in today's society, propaganda is aimed at the mind. We've used the word brainwashing for a reason, because if you're able to control people's minds and what they think and what they believe, they are able to be controlled and manipulated. And propaganda has been used throughout every level of warfare in history, in particular, the recent ones. So if you're going to control a civilization, you have to control what they think, what they hear. And reason being, because people understand that the seat of human government is not necessarily in our places of power, like the White House or Downing Street or the Kremlin, wherever you are in the earth. No. The seat of human government is in the thinking and in the heart of a human being. And if you're able to control them, what goes in, you're able to control your populace. Now, values find expression through the thoughts, values, and culture of men, people groups, cities, and nations. They find expression through the thoughts, values, and culture of men, the acceptable norms within a people group or a city and nation. The truth is that values underpin society. And if that is true, then truth must be the foundation of values. If values underpin society, I'll say it again, then truth must be the foundation of values. Okay? Now, truth in its nature is objective. And in terms of having a God point of view or God worldview, truth is also revelatory in essence. It is revelatory in essence. Okay? And what we have found out throughout history is that revelatory truth is the foundation and source of life itself. What am I talking about? Well, obviously, being a kingdom person or a kingdom thinker, we understand that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, is a reality to us. Not only is it a reality to us, but throughout history, we have watched God successfully and progressively reveal himself. And in so doing, he has successfully and progressively revealed what truth is. So if I'm talking about the Bible, before the Bible became a written document, it was something that was revealed. Truth was revelatory. For example, God said to Moses, listen, I'm leading this people out of Egypt and we're going to form a new nation. But what he also said, listen, come up to Mount Sinai and we are going to establish the law. So Moses begins to establish the law. The first 5 books of the Bible are known as the Torah, the law. But the law, before it became the law, was revealed truth. So truth in its nature is objective. It's not subject to feelings or experience. It is objective. And truth, in a sense, is revelatory in essence. Let's take this thought a little bit deeper. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. Look at this. In the beginning, before creation, was the Word. Was the Word. That word is translated from the Greek as logos. Logos. So, in a sense, in the beginning was the Word, was logos. And I'm going to break it down even more in a simpler way. Okay. Logos, translated the word. A word is none other than a revealed thought. Okay. It is an expressed thought. So not only is it an expressed thought, but it's also a revealed thought. Okay. It is thoughts that are encapsulated in a word. So in the beginning, before creation, there was the logos, a thought, the thinking, the mind of God that was active. And not only was it active, but it was spoken. And that aspect of God was called the Word. Before creation. In fact, the Bible lets us know in the book of Colossians that all things were created by him, the Word, and was also created for him. So in terms of creation, there was thought, intent, and purpose and design. And this is something that atheists still have a problem with today. Why? Because what's being created, it is obvious that it had a design. And if it had a design, means it had a thought and intent in the first place. And the kingdom perspective, the kingdom world of point of view, actually lets us know that God had intentions, reasons why he laid the foundations of the earth and created the world. And in so doing, revealed to us what the source code for life actually is and what the source code for life actually comes from. The source code for life is located in the revealed word. The source code for life itself is located within the revealed word. And that word contains the framework and blueprint for human civilization within it. As I said to you before, God reveals himself progressively. And there are frameworks within his word, within the source code, the thought, the intention, before it was made and designed. It's revealed right there. And what we can take from the progressive revelations of God throughout the Old Testament and to the New, we can begin to look at his ideas of human civilization and the purpose for it. Not only that, but also the not only the intent and why it was being created, but how it can maximize itself by being subject to truth and subject to principles. So in other words, the principles that are and the frameworks that are released in the word are the very self-same principles and frameworks that govern human beings and govern human civilization. It's the source of it. It is not the consumer that gives instructions in using a product or maximizing a service. It's true. A consumer doesn't. I can buy a vacuum cleaner, a radio, or whatever, but it's not me that determines the intent and the design for it. And it's not only me that determines how best to use the product or service. It is the creator that decides that, because they have the use and the best use of it in mind in the process of creating it. So if that is the truth for products and services, my argument to you is simply this, and I'm laying it to you. It is also true for human beings, mankind like you and me, and the civilizations that we create as a result. The frameworks, the patterns, the order that are in the source code reveal how these civilizations are supposed to work and how justice is supposed to be permeated throughout our nations. In other words, truth in this particular sense is objective. It's outside of us because we didn't create it. The Creator did. And as I said to you before, creation itself speaks to the intention of the Creator himself. So the source code for civilizational building, truth, values, culture, comes originally from the King, comes originally from the King of heaven. Remember what Jesus said when he said, this is how you pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Our Father, who art in heaven, thy kingdom shows you the government that he has, but also shows you the type of government that God has. And this, right at the end of the Lord's Prayer, says, for thine is the kingdom, and thine is the glory, forever and ever. Yours is the kingdom. Yours is the kingdom. Hope you're getting this. I hope you're getting this. He is king. He is king of a civilization. He is king of a government. And he is looking to establish a civilization made up of human beings that are created in his image. And in so doing, he has released in his word the frameworks that govern civilization and govern almost every area and aspect of human living. That is one of the reasons why, as I said to you before, the first 5 books of the Bible are known as the law. The law from where? The law from the King of heaven. Let's get into this. As I've stated before, these intentions are progressively revealed in the 66 books of the Bible. As I've said, outlining frameworks and policies or laws that govern every area of human activity. And as I've said, these laws come from a higher realm and authority, the kingdom of heaven. Now remember Jesus' mission. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Repent, change your thinking, change the way you are living. Why? Because another government is here. The original government is here. And I'm here to introduce to you to a higher way of living and introduce you to your original space and your original sphere and the original policies that man was created in the first place. The kingdom of heaven. Let's get into this. Let's explore this thought a little bit more. In Isaiah's prophetic writings, he writes these words, Isaiah chapter 9, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government there shall be no end. Upon the throne of David, and there shall be upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from this day forth, even forever. Okay, so have a look at this. He's a king of a kingdom. He is placed on a throne. And this is how he administrates that kingdom. He administrates that kingdom through judgment and with justice. Judgment and justice. When you look at the Hebrew words there, it is literally, he established it with justice and righteousness. I'll say it again, justice and righteousness. Most of us think about God, we think about some ethereal being who's just out there. No, he is a king, and he administrates his kingdom through justice and through righteousness. And in this particular instance, he is using human vessel known as the Messiah. This is one of the messianic prophecies to establish his kingdom here on earth through his laws, through the just keeping of his laws, and through righteousness. And through righteousness. Let's get into this some more. Okay. Justice, when we dig a bit deeper, justice is the executive, legislative, and judicial process of upholding just laws. A society can only be just when its citizens decide that they're going to abide by what is called just laws. Righteousness speaks in a governing sense of being on the right side of the laws, commandments, statutes, and principles of the kingdom. So in other words, when we have a look at the frameworks that are in the word for leaders or kings, they were not only tasked to establish righteousness and justice, they were also tasked to obey the law themselves, or to be accountable to a set of objective laws, whether they liked it or whether they didn't, or whether they felt like it or not. They were to be subject to those laws, and as a result of being subject to those laws, they will be known as being righteous. Guys, righteousness is a legal term. Again, let me refresh. But God's kingdom is his system of governance. It is heaven's executive, legislative, and judicial authority. And it operates in a territory through his laws, commandments, statutes, and principles. So, for heaven to come to earth, it means that his laws and his commandments and his statutes and his principles not only have to be known, they have to be adhered to. I hope you're catching what I'm saying. Because if you do, you'll begin to understand what his intention through Christ was. His intention through Christ was to bring heaven on earth, bring an end to crime, bring an end to evil, bring an end to all of these things, so that people and a civilization can live and flourish without wondering what their brother's going to do to them, or who's going to rob them, if you get what I'm trying to say. Now, when you look in our societies right now, when people break the law, let me say this to you, it is because they have decided to live under a separate state of laws. They're living for themselves. More on that a bit later. Hallelujah. I want us to see something here, because I'm just touching this subject matter about power and about laws. God expected his leaders, or those in leadership, and he still does, to be living according to his universal laws that come from the source code called the Word. And watch this. Psalms 138, verse 1-2 says, I will praise thee with my whole heart. Before the gods will I sing praise unto thee. I will worship toward your holy temple, praise your name for your loving kindness and for your truth, for you have magnified your word above all your name. I want us to see something. But even God is subject to his word. Even God is subject to his law. Hallelujah. I hope you're catching what I'm saying. Yes, he is sovereign, but he is subject to his laws. Yes, he is omnipresent, but he is not a lawless entity. Let me break it down. Do you know the reason why a miracle happens? I tell you why a miracle happens. It's simply because it's an instance when earth laws are superseded with the higher laws of heaven. That is when, in an instant, a miracle happens. Because the earth law has to subsede itself to heaven's law or to his word. So when you enter miracle meetings, all the miracle minister is doing is introducing the atmosphere and the laws of heaven and enforcing them here on the earth. That causes the miracles to happen. Why? Because he has magnified his word even above his own name. What am I getting at? We're looking at a framework here. God himself, as king of his kingdom, is accountable to his own word. And as I said to you before, righteousness is a legal position and term. Therefore, any human being on the earth that is in any shape of leadership capacity has to be subject to objective law and policies that govern a territory. Now, the problem that we have seen in history, well, we have seen some of the greatest releases of evil in the earth has been as a result of what is called unaccountable leadership and unaccountable power. We've heard the saying that power corrupts. That's not correct. It is unaccountable power that corrupts. And in history, there has been so many instances when we have seen unaccountable power, people or groups rising to power without anybody to be accountable to. And let me just send a warning to our leaders. And there are certain groups in the earth that are unaccountable. 3-letter organization, WHO, United Nations. Did you know that their representatives are not subject to any law in any given territory? What is that? Unaccountable power. And with unaccountable power comes corruption. Oh, more on that a bit later when we talk a little bit more about civilizational warfare. Yes, I'm talking about what's happening today. You can connect the dots and you can see where I'm heading towards. But you cannot have unaccountable power because it leads to corruption and it leads to evil in a territory. And not only that, but the breaking of those universal laws automatically releases evil on the earth. We're going to get into that. We're going to have a look at something that I promised we would do in this particular bulletin some time ago. We're going to look at a supernatural entity. If God exists, if the kingdom worldview, according to the Bible, is true, then we need to understand that there is what is called a resident evil on the earth. We have to understand if Yahweh, Elohim, is real, then Lucifer is just as real. In fact, the Bible lets us know that there has been a war between Yahweh and Lucifer on the face. It began in heaven and is now come to earth, and we are slap bang right in the middle of it, whether you believe or not. And let me just say this to you. Because you don't believe in God and you don't think God exists doesn't mean that he doesn't. Let's get into this. Isaiah 14, 12 to 14. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Oh, is he doing that today? For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. It's important to note, he wanted to exalt his throne above God's throne. Got to understand, when you talk about thrones, you are talking about a seat of power, number one, but you're also talking about someone who resides over a civilization or over a domain or over a territory. The enemy, Lucifer, as he was known back then, decided, you know what? I'm going to usurp God's government, God's civilization, and I'm going to establish my own. We've got to understand, guys, that Lucifer is not some guy with two horns and a pitchfork. He is, in a sense, a civilizational builder. And there have been evidences of this in history, and there's evidence of this in the scriptures itself. He wanted to build his own kingdom and civilization and set it above God's one. Okay. And he wanted to use the original template to do it. And not only that, he also wanted to have this governmental, civilizational template built on lies. Hear what I'm saying? Built on lies. Let's get into this. So what is a lie? Remember what I said to you before. If values underpin society, then values must be based on truth. So let's look at the definition of what a lie is. It is an assertion of something known or believed by the speaker or writer to be untrue, with intent to deceive. So in other words, it is something that Lucifer knows to be untrue, but he says it like it's truth, with the intent to deceive. Now we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of the civilizational warfare that we're in. It is based on truth. It is based on lies. Let's explore this a little bit further. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made, and he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? We're talking about what happened in the Garden of Eden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. Notice this. This was the policy that mankind had to live under. Listen, you are free to cultivate the earth. You're free to do what you want to do. But here's a policy. Leave this tree and the fruit of this tree alone. So the serpent comes. Notice I'm talking about frameworks here and patterns. Watch this. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die. For God does know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Let me say this to you. A lot of people use this scripture and say, oh, you know what? God was trying to keep secret knowledge away from humankind. And that's the reason why he said, do not eat of it. No, that's not what the temptation was. The temptation for Adam and Eve at that time was to become gods, and to become gods in their own right. Not only that, but to become gods so they can determine what good and evil actually is. That was the temptation. And that was the lie and the deception that the enemy used back eons ago, thousands of years ago. And it is the same deception that he is using now. Watch this. As gods, they will be able to redefine what good and evil is and live life on their own terms. Now, guys, this is where our current dysfunction begins. And this is where the source of the current civilizational warfare that we are experiencing right now. It is the redefinition of what good and evil actually is. I want you to see right at that beginning of that temptation, right at the beginning, the enemies decided he was going to redefine truth and repackage it to humanity. Caused her to be deceived, caused her to be tempted, and caused her husband to be tempted too. And this is where the beginnings of the civilizational warfare that we experience begins. So, if you're able to redefine good and evil, then you're able to redefine the laws and the principles that govern human life. Then you're able to turn objective truth to being subjective, to being something that is based on your feelings and how you feel about it. We're going somewhere here. And if you're doing that, then you are opening the door to the evils present in our society and the evils that have entered the earth ever since that decision was made. So, the same rebellion as in history repeats itself today. Let's look at this. Book of Genesis after the flood. We can talk about what happened before the flood in a separate bulletin. But our modern era begins. Our modern era of thinking begins post-flood. And just after the flood, they said, "Let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. Let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth." So in other words, they said, listen, we're going to continue the rebellion that took place in the garden. We are going to build our own civilization based on our own laws, based on what we feel. And not only that, but we are going to have our own worship system, our own economic system, and our own spiritual system. Because not only are we going to build a city, not only are we going to build a civilization, we're also going to build a tower whose intent is to step into the realm of the spirit and open up what is called a gateway to the gods. And from history, we have seen men develop their own civilization and laws, but also develop their own system of worship and economic and legal system themselves. So the rebellion is no longer individual. I don't believe in God. No. We're going to build our own civilization and create our own culture, create our own government, and create our own way of living. I've said this to you before. What actually happened was we see the formation of the very, very first global empire on the planet. The very first one. And it's not only is it the first one, it is the one that successive empires have templated themselves on, including the British one. And if we are to look at what's going on in the United States right now, including the United States, they have copied and pasted the template in rebellion against God. Right. So earlier we talked about civilizational characteristics. We talked about one of the things that define civilizations, historic ones and including modern ones, are religion, philosophy, and values. I'll say it again: religion, philosophy, and values. And whether you like to admit it or not, religion, philosophy, and values sets the norms and culture of any civilization or culture. Religion, philosophy, values. So what is going on today? In the West, the predominant thought has been secular humanism. There has been a shift away from Judeo-Christian values that has built civilizations for thousands of years. And there has been a shift to what is called secular humanism. So people may say, well, you know what? The West say they are Christian, but they're no longer a Christian country. To a degree, that is true. Because the predominant thinking, the predominant idea is secular humanism. And you've got to understand that a lot of these ideas are civilizational building ideas. And it forms the pretext or the context of the warfare that we're facing today. Secular humanism is philosophy or lifestyle that embraces human reason, ethics, and philosophical naturalism, while specifically rejecting religious dogma, supernaturalism, pseudoscience, and superstition as the basis of morality and decision-making. You notice what it says? Rejecting revelation, rejecting revelatory truth, rejecting the source code of life itself. You know, when describing Jesus in the book of John, he said, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. Oh my gosh. Let's get into this. It rejects objective truth. It objects revelatory truth. And decides we are going to determine what truth is and what truth isn't. It is none other than a modern manifestation of what took place in the Garden of Eden thousands of years ago. It is an ideology that reframes and forms a different set of laws, decrees, and statutes. It is an ideology that has spawned movements that are designed to attack, tear down, and alter the family, fully well knowing that shaping the family will shape the society and the future of every nation, with the intention of building an alternative civilization through legal, economic, and political instrumentation. Let's have a look at the movements that secular humanism has formed. Let's have a look. We can have a look at the alphabet community and the alphabet movement. We can have a look at the growth of Darwinism, the fact that there isn't a creator. Creation didn't happen. It just happened all by accident, by random selection. We have the feminist movement, which has been very successful in disrupting the Judeo-Christian life structure or kingdom life structure called the family. We have Black Lives Matter that openly admit that they don't want anything to do with a patriarchy. Don't want fathers in the house. We also have what is known as the welfare state, where 50, 60 years ago, they introduced, government housing just for women. And said, listen, if you really want a house, you know what, we can sign you up, but you know what, you are not allowed to have a man live in that house. Movements and ideas that were designed to alter and destroy and be an attack on the social norms of what a family should be, on what the source code said what a family should be. Source code called the word. Each one of these ideas have a political, legal representation that has worked its way to where we are right now. Yesterday at a prophetic meeting, we learned of what's going on in Scotland and the abortion laws, where they have recently signed into law or proposed to sign into law a law that states that if you are walking within 200 yards or 200 meters of an abortion clinic and you open up and you pray in that particular area, you can be arrested. Not only that, but if your house is within the vicinity and you are praying near this abortion clinic, you are breaking the law. Are you understanding what I'm saying? This is more than just an idea. This is civilizational building, because what you're looking to do, you are looking to create an alternative civilization. Let's move on. As you can see, they oppose the revelation of the kingdom regarding man's origins, roles, and classification, and replacing them with their own. Let us build our own civilization. Let us build it our way. Let us build it our way. A man can be with a man can become a woman. Let us do it our way. It's no longer based on objective truth. It is subjective truth. We're going to live according to our feelings. We're going to live according to our senses. And to a degree, we're going to live unto our pleasure to a degree. We're going to get rid of anything that is inconvenient, like babies. But the thing about secular humanism and the legal frameworks it's creating and the civilization it's creating, they think they're creating something new, when in essence they're not, because what they're doing is returning civilization to what it used to be back in the day. Because in describing the various civilizations in different nations, one of the things they used to do was offer child sacrifice for inconvenient births. Abortion, child sacrifice. For me, it's the same thing. Let's build our own. And church, this is where we're at. All of these ideas want and require a political, legal, and economic expression. I think I am going to stop here with that and get to this particular point. Have you noticed that there has to be an expression? Have you noticed in the US, they're now flying pride flags over buildings and institutions? Now, if it was just about two individuals that want to live an alternative lifestyle, then, hey, but it's not. It's civilizational building. And what it wants to do is reset a new set of norms, a new set of values in our society. And not only do they want to do that, but they want to force everybody else to do it. And we're not even talking about in terms of sexuality, we're talking about economy, DEI initiatives, and all of these initiatives that are coming. No, listen, if you do not subscribe to the way we want to run the economy, then we want you outside of it. Have you noticed where COVID was concerned? If you were not vaccinated, if you're not vaccinated, you're not going to be part of society anymore. Listen to me. They've shown you what their true colors are. And what I'm saying to you is that what we're seeing is a modern rendition or a modern experience of Babylon and the Babylonian civilization that was founded by Nimrod thousands of years ago now has a face and expression in 2024. Something to think about. But that's what we're fighting. We're not just fighting a supernatural entity. We're fighting ideas that express themselves economically and politically. And if we're going to fight these things, and judicially, and if we're going to fight these things, we have to fight these things on the same levels too. If we're in war, this is what we need to be able to do. And there has to be a return to principles and values of the kingdom, actively opposing the evil and corruption that has set itself in our institutions, And we need to rebuild alternative structures and institutions that have legal, economic, and political expression. Oh, I'm just a Christian. I don't believe. No. You're not understanding the nature of the warfare that you're in. And the truth is, our political and our ideological opponents understand what the kingdom actually is. It is a legal, it is an economic, it is a cultural, and it is a political expression, way of living. And they get it. That's why they oppose it so much. But there's also a call to be salt and light in these dark times, providing solutions and new ideas. The challenge is clear. We need city builders. What a session that we've just had. Over the last 4 episodes, all I've tried to do is just lay a foundation of what civilizational warfare actually is. Guys, we're going to have to fight it. We're going to have to do it, because if we don't, this system will begin to manifest itself. Not only that, but will imprison our children and our grandchildren in ways unimaginable. Listen, and let's just take a quick look at what being subjective where laws have gotten us. Guys, we have drag queen hour. We have grown men in fishnet tights and female underwear, pretending to be women, reading to children. We have a government that has, to a degree, financed graphic material introducing sexuality to children, all in the guise of this alphabet community and their rights. We have abortion. The Democratic Party made sure that they did this thing right near an abortion clinic, quoting female reproductive rights. Guys, come on, let's wake up. Let's wake up and see what we're up against. We've got to reestablish. There has to be a return. The corruption that is set into our society cannot be removed by themselves. We have to get back and start rebuilding our societies by coming back to the source code, that reveals a set of laws, set of policies that make human beings flourish here on earth and release heaven on earth. Listen, I've got to go. I hope you've enjoyed this session. I will see you next week, and we'll explore civilizational warfare a little bit more in the next bulletin. God bless. Bye-bye.